Have you ever wondered how it was decided what checks and balances the power in the United States between the federal and state governments? So, each part of the government has power, right? But how do you decide which branch gets what power? Well, if you have, the answer is federalism. Federalism is defined as the distribution of power in an organization between a central authority and the constituent units. So in this case, we are going to talk about the federal government, or the White House, as opposed to the state government, which could be the Texas Capitol. So in other words, it is how the states and federal government know what powers they have when it comes to the laws they can institute, regulate, and enforce. So the White House or the federal government can institute certain laws that the state government has to follow, or they have the chance to have the state government choose their own laws. Today I will be talking about the 10th Amendment and its reserved powers, more specifically when it comes to education. Education is left up to the states because it's not written out in the Constitution or expressed in any of the specific amendments. So each state gets to choose what is taught in its public schools. For example, if you go to school in Texas, it is going to be different than if you go to school in California. Texas being mostly a Republican state, you might think that they have more conservative or Republican ways of educating, whereas California is more of a Democratic state, so they will use more liberal or Democratic views when it comes to their education sometimes. Although they may roughly be teaching the same things, they do both get to choose what they institute in schools. And that is because, like I said, the government on the federal side lets them choose for themselves what they get to teach. It is our social responsibility to ensure that everyone has equal access to education. So everyone, starting from a young age, has to go to school in the United States up until a certain age, or until they decide that they will no longer be attending, but that's usually once they get older. And it is our personal responsibility to educate ourselves on what issues we believe are important and what really our beliefs are, because you can go to school and learn certain things solely based on what your state wants you to learn, but you can also go outside and educate yourself on what issues you really think you're more interested in, or what ideas you really want to expand on. So now, to summarize, we have gone over federalism and the separation of powers between the federal and state governments. So the federal government gets to institute certain laws, whereas the state governments will have to follow those laws, or if there is no explicit law, then the state government can choose their own way of ruling or using their powers to set their own laws. However, the state government, if it were to ever come in and have a disagreement with the federal government does go above the states. So you would have to listen to what the federal law says as opposed to what your state law says. though there are ways of taking this to court and trying to fight against that if you think that it is unfair. So sometimes when the states and the federal government disagree, then they call in someone else to try and resolve the issue. And thanks for watching.